So, in this installment of Why I'm Not a Muslim, we're going to talk about Muhammad falsifying himself as a prophet by his own Quran imposed standards, which is quite comical actually. This contradiction lies in the way he died. So let's first look at the Quran. Now, what does the Quran tell us? The Quran tells us in chapters 69, verses 43 through 46, in his revelation from the Lord of all worlds. Had the messenger, Muhammad, made up something in our name, we would have certainly seized him by his right hand, and then severed his aorta. Now, what is your aorta? Your aorta is this. Let's zoom back out. It's your largest artery, and it's your most vital artery. As you can see, it goes from your heart all the way down. Now, if you watched my previous video, you would know that I talked about Muhammad's satanic verses and how that falsified him as a prophet. And how it went against what we were told of us in the Old Testament, the Torah, which the Quran sanctions. But if you key in on that, you would realize Muhammad's satanic verses would put him under this standard where he would die by his aorta being severed, which is quite interesting. So, what happens? We read the history of Al-Tabari, which I brought up in the previous video as well, volume 6, pages 111. He admitted to this. I have fabricated things against God, and I've inputted to him words which he has not spoken. So, as I said, he admits to it because of the satanic verses. Now, it would be the cherry on top. Let's turn the camera back on. It would really be the cherry on top if Muhammad also died by his aorta being severed, but there's no way. There's no way that Muhammad would die in the exact way the Quran would tell us he would die if he was a false prophet. Made up things in God's name. Because that's the point of a prophet, right? Receives from God, gives to the people. If he makes out messages, then how can we trust him as a prophet, right? There's no way he dies in the exact way his own holy book tells us, right? By his own holy book, I mean Muslims' holy book. There's no way. Sunun Abi Dawood 45:12. As we can see here, we have the story of the Jewish woman who Muhammad's family slaughtered, and Muhammad decided to take a meal from her, a lamb. Now, you may be wondering, that's a pretty dumb idea. You just killed this woman's family, you're going to take a meal from her? I mean, obviously there's going to be something up with it. I don't know. Maybe I'll give him the benefit of the doubt at the time period. So anyways, they start eating the lamb, right? And then Bishr died. And as you see these names, I'm not going to bother pronouncing these. So some people died. And then Muhammad says, the food is poison. The food is informed me the food's poison. Well, it's not very impressive. I mean, people have already died. It's pretty obvious that it's poisoned already. It would have been more impressive if you said that before anyone ate it. But anyways. Muhammad became extremely sick from the lamb. He ended up dying. So let's go to the direct quote from Muhammad. The Messenger of Allah then ordered regarding her, and she was killed, the Jewish woman. He then said about the pain of which he died, I continued to feel pain from the morsel which I had eaten at Khaybar. This is the time when it has cut off my aorta. And he died. So, Muhammad died by his aorta being severed, as accounted here. Now, this is also mirrored in Sahih al-Bukhari 4428. The Prophet in his ailment in which he died, as you see he died, used to say, Oh Aisha, I still feel the pain caused by the food I ate at Khaybar, and at this time I feel as if my aorta is being cut from the poison. Now, what's interesting here is the aorta, as if this right here, is not in Arabic. So, we're going to get into this later. The Muslim side of the arguments usually like to pull up, well, it's not what the Arabic version says. The Arabic version is correct. The English version is wrong. Which it seems like a cop-out to me because most Christians don't know Arabic, and then they know Arabic so they can just stand on top of that. I mean, that seems the case because most of the time I plug in what they say the Arabic version says something. I plug it into a bunch of translators. And keep in mind, this translation, including all of the translations of the Hadith, Quran, etc., there's tons of translations from Muslims. These are Muslims translating. And also, if you go on machine translators, it says the same thing. So is it really a incorrect translation? And in this case, it's ironic because the English translation is actually better for the Muslim because it says as if, as opposed to the Arabic version, which says doesn't have as if. So that's interesting. Anyways, let's back on track. Yeah, so there it is. Muhammad falsifies himself in spectacular fashion. He dies in the exact way he said he would die if he was a false prophet. He said his aorta would be severed. He died by his aorta being severed. There's multiple sources of this. It's hilarious. Anyways, what's the Muslim response? There's none really. The one response I've seen is that the aorta has something to do with the words al-watin and abhari or whatever the hell they are. I don't know Arabic. And apparently the aorta, as I showed you, is one artery goes down, but apparently there's something that goes through the back, and the whole aorta is called abhari, and there's a part of the aorta called al-watin that went down the back, and the hadith said al-watin, and the Quran said abhari, so therefore, I mean, it doesn't make much sense, but anyways, there was a video someone made that was a comprehensive takedown, because as I said, I mean, the aorta is one thing, there's just different parts of it, and I was reading a forum post on this, because I was seeing, like, maybe there's some truth to this, but there's not, and two things came clear to me. One, they're used interchangeably, that comes from the video on the forum, and two, it's kind of like, imagine this. Imagine if Allah said, Muhammad will die of being in a vehicle accident if he's a false prophet. And then Muhammad dies in a vehicle accident with a trailer. Gets hit by a trailer and he dies. And then a Muslim comes along and says, he's not falsified. He said a vehicle accident. He was killed by a trailer. Alhamdulillah. Like, bro, he died in a vehicle accident. It doesn't matter if it was a trailer or not. So, this is another reason why I'm not a Muslim. I don't know if I'll continue this series, because to be honest, like, the satanic verse is enough for me. Add this on top, makes it even worse. There's other things too. I'll probably make videos about it, because why not?